Trying to keep up with their child's swinging emotional pendulum can be a guessing game most days. One day they're up, the next day they're down. Well, licensed psychologist and author Dr. Erik Fisher, we like to call him Dr. E, joins us this morning to explain why it's so important to know the difference between normal brooding and a more serious problem of depression. And I think that's where we have to start. What's normal for your child? You got to figure out what that is.
Right, and what we have to look at is that as parents, we're not often trained to identify what's depression, what's anxiety, and what is just normal childhood. We often look at our kids' behaviors and we often judge them in the moment. We might kind of say, well, my kid does this or that, and we start to even attribute that to normality for that child. But understanding when something truly goes beyond into an anxiety or depression versus just an avoidance or things like that, that's something that we really want to be willing to consult a professional and get some advice as to what's going on. And to do that, we really have to look at the long-term pattern of behavior and even sometimes chart some of those things as we go along so we can see if there's a pattern going on.
Well, step one has to be admitting there's a problem. You can't be in denial that, hey, my child may be suffering from depression.
Right, you know, as they say, denial ain't just a river in Egypt. So what we have to look at is that a lot of parents don't want to acknowledge that their kids might have a problem because they feel like if their child's failing, then they're failing. What we have to remember is that failure tells us when it's time to learn. That's its purpose. So the other side of that is sometimes kids are in denial and they don't want to acknowledge what's going on because they want to feel like they fit in with their kids, not feel so alone. So when you ask your kid, so how are you feeling? Oh, I'm fine, which in our culture, fine is a word that we just say. We don't even think about what we're saying when we say it. So we have to look at that from the parents and the child's patterns of denial.
Now, on the opposite side of denial is just being too busy to notice in the first place.
Right. We live in an extremely busy world, and with all the demands on us between our work, our play, our taking care of the house and taking care of bills, and then our kids' activities, often we're too busy to really stop and see what's going on, to listen to our kids, to see what their friends are doing, to see what they're doing on social media and what they're listening to and what they're watching, because a lot of times those are the behaviors that give us a deeper picture inside, not just to critique them, but to really evaluate and observe what they're doing in their lives.
So step number one to evaluate and observe is just slow down.
Exactly. Slowing down is critical because if we don't take the time to really see what's going on with our kids, form those connections, have conversations, even if you're busy, conversations in the car, just don't turn on the radio and listen to the radio, or take time to talk with them before they go to bed. No matter what age they are, especially teens, get in touch with them before they go to bed, and that might be time that you find that they start to open up. It takes time to build a relationship, and the relationships that kids often have with parents aren't really what they should be.
That's why you say focus not just on what they're saying. You got to really look at what they're doing.
Well, you know, a lot of times, I remember years ago, parents tried to sue a rock band because of the music, because they said the music caused their child to commit suicide. Music is an indicator. The music kids listen to, it resonates with them. That's why they listen to it. So don't shoot the messenger, whether it's your child or the music they're listening to or what they're watching on YouTube or things like that. See that that resonates with them. And when you start to listen and say, what do you like about that song? They might say, well, it helps me feel not so alone or things like that. That's where you listen and observe and become a part of their life, not just somebody who critiques their life.
Yeah, and if you don't know the information, go to a Dr. E. That's what he's here for. For more information on today's segment with Dr. E, just click on the viewer information story on our Fox 5 Atlanta app. 9:35 is your time. Good Day Atlanta's Gavir Dinza is standing by now with more of the morning's top stories. Gavir, good morning.
Karen, good morning to you. Atlanta police are